Well, the topic of gender has also been on the executive order list for President Trump. It's allowing Trump to target the Biden administration's diversity policies. The new president has ordered the federal government to recognize only two genders, male and female. His supporters are applauding the initiative, but others worry about what it will mean for transgender rights and medical care.
As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
Words that drew applause from the crowd. But sent chills down the spines of many Americans.
It's a horrible place to be when you are unaffirmed and alone in this world. These announcements and these policy changes really affect people on a deep level that I don't think most cisgender people understand.
It sounds like we're going very, very backwards. And for it to be 2025, we haven't really gone that far forward. So I'm terrified. Every right, I can see all of them being repealed and a lot of people in danger.
Kamala even supports
Trump's campaign focused heavily on criticizing the Biden administration's diversity and inclusion policies.
Is for you.
Days before his swearing in, Republicans led a vote to ban trans women in women's sports.
We know from Scripture and from nature that men are men and women are women, and men cannot become women.
Critics fear this is just the beginning of a raft of measures, including cutting federal support for gender-affirming medical care.
Agencies and states and officials who are just looking for any excuse to exclude communities that they've already been attacking relentlessly, and I'm worried that this will give them permission to deny life-saving benefits and recognition of, medical needs and marriages and identification cards.
But Trump supporters have long seen this shift as essential.
This political correctness, this, pronouns that folks have to go under, these transgender bathrooms, and all this nonsense we're seeing in America today. So we're looking forward to get away from that.
They think it's okay, boys can be girls, girls can be boys, all that kind of nonsense. That's why he won.
Trump opened his term promising to end the focus on gender and race, raising worries that that promise could threaten the rights of these communities.
People united will never be defeated.
Well, Maria Sjödin joins me now. Maria is the executive director of the NGO Outright Action International that aims to make LGBTQ lives better. Maria, it's good to have you with us. The president has declared that the U.S. will officially only recognize two genders. How do you expect this to affect people who do not identify as female or male inside the United States?
It's going to have, unfortunately, I think, a huge impact. People outside of the binary genders have existed in cultures around the world, including among indigenous American communities for thousands of years. Mm-hmm. And they cannot be erased by any presidential executive order. But what will happen is that there will be, of course, an increase in discrimination and harm and even a risk of violence for many communities as a result of this.
Well, how are you at Outright Action International? How are you preparing for the next 4 years with Donald Trump as president?
So we are working in the US and across the world to counter these messages. And I think it's very important to really shore up international solidarity around this, because like I said, this isn't just about what is being said in the US. This is a message that is now going to get propagated across the world, even in places that for a long time have recognized people outside of the binary gender. But with the outsized influence of the United States, I think it's very important that the world comes together to counter this messaging, because you cannot erase people and simplify things. It's just not factually correct to say that there are only two genders. That's just not reality. And of course, this is also going to have a direct impact on people's lives, including on things like freedom of movement. If you cannot get your passport to reflect your gender identity, of course, that's going to cause problems for people who are looking to travel, for example.
Maria, you know, we are in just the first full day of the Trump administration's term, so there's a lot of time ahead of us. What other measures do you expect to be taken against non-binary people in the U.S. in the near future? I mean, do you expect more measures to come? And if so, what will they be?
I think there is a risk for all LGBTIQ people. I mean, in the segment that you just aired, you hear prominent Republicans refer to the scripture as a basis for lawmaking. And I think it's going to be essential to combat that and to say that, you know, laws should not be based on any religious documents. Obviously, we need a clear separation between religious institutions and the state. And every individual's rights have to be respected. Every person's human rights need to be respected, regardless of their gender or gender identity.
You know, you say, Maria, that the world has a long history that includes non-binary people in it, including indigenous peoples in North and South America. Considering that, how do you explain then that so many people in the United States support Trump's decision on gender?
I have to say, I'm not sure. You know, of course, there are lots of people who support it. We saw that the Trump campaign spent over $200 million American dollars on anti-trans advertisements. But I still have to say that, you know, you see among younger generations that there are an increased number for every generation that identify themselves outside of the binary, and also who recognizes that other people may identify as such. So I think what we have to do is we have to keep up the fight to change the perception, and we just can't give up. We have to keep fighting and convince people that actually what this simplified version that they claim to be the truth is just not factual. It's just not correct. And we have to, you know, keep convincing them that we all deserve respect regardless of our gender.
Maria Sjödin, Executive Director of Outright Action International. Maria, we appreciate your time and your insights. Thank you.
Thank you so much.